Right, so I'll just quickly introduce myself and then we'll start with the agenda for the discussion. I'm Pranjal Shukla, 2017 A4 PS0634H. Joined Hyderabad campus in 2017 and started with mechanical engineering. So studied under Professor Swain, who used to say that the students who are studying mechanical engineering or chemical engineering or civil engineering are the poor people of the campus. So I had to venture into non-tech consulting and finance domain as well. So I was a part of the on-campus automotive racing team. So it was called Team Vulcan back then. I was the captain of that team. I was preparing for mechanical core wholeheartedly, but also had a minor in finance in my pocket. In my fourth year, first semester, I appeared for placements and got into ZS Associates. The role that was, I don't remember if it was a DAA role or a BOA role. I think it was a BOA role back then. Then I went on to pursue my PS in finance. I joined JP Morgan Investment Banking, CRG, mid office role, which comes to our campus. I joined the corporate finance advisory team, worked with JP Morgan for 18 months. Brilliant time, brilliant team. Then went on to pursue my MBA from IIM Indore. In IIM Indore, I got shortlists from. So I got my summer internship at Boston Consulting Group (BCG). Did my summer internship there, and then finally got a PPO as well. I have a couple of months before joining BCG full time. So this is the platform that I wanted to bring to all of you guys, where we can have discussion around how to venture out from engineering to say an MBA or a consulting or an IB role. So the agenda for today is what is the consulting and finance landscape, the job landscape in India. So I have just prepared a single slider there. Housekeeping rules, you can just put in your queries in the chat box, and in the end we will take all the questions that you have. So I joined in here at 10:15, and a couple of you, Anmol and one more, I don't remember the name, sorry. We had a discussion around why to do an MBA or what kind of jobs they are doing. So we can have that kind of a discussion at the end of this, and I'll try to cover it in and around 30 to 35 minutes. So let's start. All right. Great. So consulting and finance, I have both the parts ready in this. I think we can first start with the consulting part of it. So we will be discussing the consulting landscape in India. So when we talk about the consulting landscape in India, first we will be talking about the types of companies which are there. So the broad differentiation is that first we have the full-fledged strategy consulting companies, which are say the likes of McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Kearney, Accenture Strategy to some sort. These are the companies which were started in, most of them were started in the United States in 1960s, 1980s, and they started their operations in India somewhere around 1990s. These are the phases of consulting. So whenever you read about some projects being won by certain consulting companies which are offered by, let us say, government of India, it is usually the strategy consulting companies which are at the forefront. Then we have some boutique consulting companies which give their services to specialized sectors. So we were talking about ZS Associates. ZS Associates is a consulting and analytics company which has its major clients in the pharma domain. Then we have certain consulting companies which specialize in, say, the tech sector. So if we talk about Accenture Strategy, a majority of its cases would revolve around, say, the digitalization or the digital transformation of the company, something related to tech or IT. So although I would not call Accenture Strategy a boutique consulting firm, but you do get the flavor of a lot of tech related cases in that company. Then we have some analytics firms. So in India, for example, if you will be appearing for ZS Associates right after your engineering, you would be getting into a lot of analytics kind of role. So the BOA or the DAA role which ZS offered, that was on the analytics side only. So Mu Sigma, ZS Associates, these are the two kind of companies which broadly fall into the analytics space. Then there are market research companies. So companies like Gartner or Everest Group. These are the companies which often work with these strategy consulting companies, and they are responsible for market research. An example of this would be, let us say, HUL wants to launch a new shampoo in the region of central India. Then HUL would commission a market research using a company like, say, Gartner. they would give them insights around the consumer, their taste, their preferences, and then the company will be taking some decision out there. So this is the broad types of companies which are there. Now when we talk about the types of roles, there are two types of roles. One is the client facing and the front office role, and the second one is the mid office and the support roles. So in India, you will see that there are a lot of companies which have their support offices. So Deloitte USI is Deloitte US offices in India, something like that. So what they do is that if there is a team of say 10 consultants on a project, 7 of them would be from US and 3 of them would be from India. So these are the capability centers, or BCN for example, Bain Capability Network, which comes to our campus, so which comes to BITS campuses. So they are again support offices where they will be supporting the front office consultants. So this is the typical mid office and support roles which are offered in India, and 80 to 90, like 70 to 80% of the jobs in the consulting in India are mid office and support roles. Then we have client facing and front office roles. So whenever you will be entering say a BCG, McKinsey, Bain, Kearney kind of a front office from the campus, that is a front office role where you will be directly dealing with the client. So the only difference between say a mid office or the front office is with the face time which you get with the client. In front office you would be interacting with the client day in and day out. In a mid office, say a Deloitte USI, you can be called on a secondment to the geography where your team is sitting. However, majority of your work would be on the computer screen and you will be interacting with the team which works with the client. So this is the mid office and the front office distinction in a consulting company. Again, if you are closer to the client, you get paid more, the work stress is higher. In a mid office, I won't comment on the work stress, the type of work stress is different. So this is the broad differentiation there. Now the type of companies. So we talked about these. So there is McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Kearney. There is Oliver Wyman, Alvarez and Marshall, Accenture Strategy. Then there is the Big Four: Deloitte, KPMG, EY, PwC. Then these Big Four companies also often have their specialized consulting wings as well. For example, there is Strategy and there is Monitor Deloitte, which is under Deloitte, and I've heard that they are focused on healthcare projects more. Then there is Parthenon, which is a part of EY now. So on campus you would see that often Big Four is coming, so Deloitte would be coming, and there might be Monitor Deloitte which is coming. EY might be coming for certain roles, and EY Parthenon might be coming in for certain roles. So you can try for the right hand side which I have written here. So these would often give you a strategy based pieces to work on. And in Deloitte, KPMG, EY and PwC, they are accounting based firms and they often do certain consulting work as well. So again, Deloitte, KPMG, EY, PwC, the Big Four are very huge. They have a lot of roles ranging from operations to accounting to some consulting pieces as well. They work a lot in the execution part of the strategy. However, if you are getting a chance to work in any of these companies, do give it a shot. Next we have ZS and Mu Sigma. So I talked about the analytics part of it. Often these companies would take us engineers as the analytics or the ops engineer category, and then you work up the ladder. If you are given a chance, join the partner rank and then start selling the cases. A very broad structure that I have told you here. Now the next question is, how big is the career and where to go next? So generally in a consulting company you will be joining as an analyst, junior analyst, associate, senior associate kind of a role, and you get promoted within 2 to 3 years to the next role. So from senior associate to a consultant in 2 years, from consultant to project leader in 2 years, and usually you hit the partner rank in 10 to 13 years. Again, that depends from company to company. Let me quickly check if everything is fine. Yes, if there's anything wrong, please let me know in the chat section. Right, so 10 to 13 years till you hit the partner level. But where to go next? If you are not planning to stay in the consulting domain for long, people often exit to a private equity or a venture capital. That is one exit that you have. Second exit is that you join a startup as say VP growth, VP revenue, whatever suits the industry that you had expertise in consulting. So you join certain startups. And third is definitely people start their own ventures. So consulting is famous for pushing in a lot of CEOs in the companies, pushing in a lot of CEOs who start up their own companies. So Zomato is an example where Mr. Dipender Goyal worked with Bain before starting up Zomato. So these are three major differentiation. The fourth one, which is also popular, is working in some corporate strategy, corporate development role with large MNCs. So people often leave these consulting companies and then join the clients. For example, if you are working with Adani as your client in a company, as your client in, let us say, McKinsey, if there is a position open in Adani for regional, like vice president renewable energy strategy, then often you might want to join Adani as that corporate development in that corporate development role as well. So these are the major four exits which people go for. So consulting companies have a pyramid structure where there are a lot of people in the bottom compared to the number of partners which are lesser. So often you would heard about this term which is known as up or out. So you have to earn your promotion within 2 to 3 years, and if you're not earning that, then the company would politely ask you to leave the company. So that is something to be cognizant of in consulting. And then the next part is how to get in. So how to get in is again a very broad kind of a discussion which we can take up in another Google Meet. However, I will be giving you some perspective from outside the campus. So if I'm not talking about the practice school system or the placement system which happens on campus, the one thing is that you either get a referral from the people who are working in these companies and have your resume ready. So what comes under resume? A consulting company, I'm talking about the top tier strategy consulting companies, would look for spikes in your resume in all of the sections. I will circulate a sample resume, or I can circulate my resume as well, which got shortlisted with these companies. So these top tier companies would look for a spike in each of the sections. What are the sections? So the section first would be academic, where you have your 10th, 12th, undergraduation, post graduation marks. A typical good resume would look like a 998, 999, 997 kind of a resume. So 998 means that you had a 90% plus in 10th, 90% plus in 12th, then 90% plus in your undergraduation. Apart from that, there would be some co-curricular activities. For example, you presented in a conference and you got a certificate, an award there. Sorry, or you participated in some certain Olympiads, let us say NTSC, KVPY. So these are the second category of achievements which go into the second header. Then you have your work experience. So if you have good brands on your resume, so working in some big banks or big consulting companies prior to joining your B school or prior to applying for those companies or some big MNCs, that's always a plus to have. The next step, the next thing in your resume is, given that you will be applying within say a year, 2 years or 3 years down the line, you would also have your internships. You would not have a fairly large work experience section, but you will be having a very large internship section. So again, brands there matter. If brands are not there, let us say you're working with a startup, and if you are able to push some large blocks in those startups, for example, you generated leads and gave that company a revenue of say 10 lakh plus within a month of 1 month. So that's a good point to have on your resume. The next section is about your projects. So we were having this discussion earlier that if you are pursuing a minor in finance on campus, or if you are pursuing any non-technical project on campus, do the project non-technical course on campus, do the projects thoroughly, ensure that you know in and out about that project. So when I came to my B school and I had to write my resume, most of the projects were from my minor in finance. The courses were business analysis and valuation, derivatives, risk management, etc. So these projects, in at least in my time, were curated beautifully by the faculties, where you were analyzing an industry, a company, a market as a whole, and that is what a consulting company wants to look at. So that is the project section of yours. Next is the POR section, positions of responsibility. So if you are in a club society, if you're holding a position, any position that you're holding, and if you're able to put in some words where you are generating significant value for that club or committee, then that's a plus point to have. Finally, it is the extracurricular section. So always try to have one extracurricular which stands out. For example, if you have authored some books, if you are into bungee jumping, adventure sports, say fencing, MMA, boxing. So those are the points which should be there, so that the interviewer is intrigued and you can have a conversation around it. This was around the resume. So usually first point of screening is the resume, and understand that in a competitive market like India, everything in your resume matters. So your degree, your grades, your certifications, the B school you're going to, the undergrad school you're going to, the marks you have, the CFA, FRM, Six Sigma, everything matters there. So you do not know what thing the company wants and might help your resume get picked. So be cognizant that your resume is your face for the company. So prepare your resume very well. If you're entering a B school, I'll tell you the process there. In a B school, typically after your resume shortlisting, there are some buddy rounds, mentor rounds. You will be assigned some mentors from the company who will be taking your cases online or in person or on campus. So it depends from campus to campus, depends from company to company, but usually it would be an online first interview screening call, and then there will be on campus workshops where they will be testing you on the cases. What kind of cases? I already shared the case link in the case preparation link in the WhatsApp group, so you can check that out. Once that is done, you will be having on campus dinners with the partners of the companies. So you will be taken out to 5 stars for dinners. Again, that is a flashy part of consulting. It is there. You will be taken out to 5 stars for dinner with the partners. You will have to have a discussion with the people who are out there. And finally, there are 2 interviews scheduled, one with senior management, say a project leader or a principal, and finally is the partner round. We can discuss more about that later on, but this is usually the structure to get in after a B school. After an undergrad school, if the companies are coming to campus, well and good. If they are not coming on campus, and if you are joining, say, an investment banking company, or let us say an analytics firm, let us say a ZS Mu Sigma, and then you apply to these companies a couple of years down the line, you can expect a similar process. Just cut out the mentor and buddy part of it and cut out the on-campus partner round. You will be having most of your rounds online only. So that is the referral part, where you'll be having 3, 4, 5 rounds depending on the company online itself. So again, 3 ways for you to get into consulting. A, if the company is coming on campus, you get your resume shortlisted, good to go. If not, join a big brand. Big brand would help you push your resume to that company, and then you will be entering in through a referral path, 3, 4, 5 interviews depending on the company. Only cases will be asked, and then again questions on your resume. That is a no-brainer. And third is through a B school. We will be having another discussion on how to get into B schools, how to make your profile for B schools. But this is a short about consulting. Any questions till now before I hop on to the finance part? So bhaiya, I'm a chemical engineer student because that is. Yes, so good question. So a lot of people in my batch in IIM Indore were from, say, good NITs, top tier NITs. They were rank holders there and they were freshers. So they did a lot of, I know a chemical engineer, a good friend of mine, who only had projects in chemical engineering. So it is okay even if you have done courses only in chemical engineering, put those out there. But the important point is how you are framing those points. For example, if you're working in a team of 5, pursuing some results in the chemical engineering projects in which you had to, say, interact with certain vendors or interact with certain stakeholders. So you will have to tweak the point a bit so that it also highlights your managerial capabilities that you can work in a group. And then again, if it's a pure technical point, that has to be there. It's okay. Just know that you can be asked about it. So there are people from like in my batch, a senior from Pilani campus, he was asked questions around mechanical engineering. So he was asked how bikes are made, suspension system in a bike, because he had worked on certain bike related projects in his undergraduation. So it's okay. You will get some assistance from the B school placement preparation committees as well on how to write your resume, but it's okay even if you have some chemical projects. Try to have some non-technical projects if your long-term goal is to get into consulting. That really helps. Is there a short 7.6 CGPA is great. So again, I wouldn't call it out as that. You can definitely have a shortlist there, but I know people from BITS in IIM Indore who had a 997 kind of a profile, 997.6. CFA again helps it. These consulting companies will often look at whether you are constantly engaging yourself in learning assignments as well or not. So pursuing things like CFA or these Six Sigma certifications cements that thought that yes, you are interested in pursuing things which are not related to your field. So CFA helps a lot in the investment banking side. However, having a CFA level 1 on your profile as a fresher or a 1 or 2 year experienced person definitely helps. 7.6 is not a bad CGPA. I wouldn't call it bad. I have seen people getting shortlists. However, outside the campus, when you're applying not through the campus placement program, it might become tough because everyone there is highly competitive. So you will be having people from top tier colleges, top tier CGPAs. So every differentiation matters there. What do I say with a good brand who will push my resume? So good brand means, for example, if right now outside the campus, right out of the campus, you start working in, let us say, PwC or Deloitte. Right now you start working in these companies, and then when you go to a B school or when you want to apply to these top tier consulting companies, they will see that you have previously worked in Deloitte. That means you know what consulting is. Then they will pick your resume. Then again, top tier brands would be, for me it was JP Morgan. So I had worked in JP Morgan investment banking. They knew that I have worked in high pressure environments, so they picked my resume. Good to go. My friends who had earlier worked in McKinsey or GEP Consulting or ZS Associates, all of their resumes got picked up because they had previously worked in with an employer who gave them a flavor of consulting or investment banking. So that helps. Another example, Sanya, I'll give you here is that often at higher positions, these companies look out for people who have industry experience. So I worked with a fabulous manager in BCG. He previously had work experience in the telecom sector, and BCG had some cases in telecom. So maybe that worked out and he got shortlisted, and then he converted as a consultant. So technical expertise in that telecom industry with a good brand helped him get into BCG. So that is what I meant. I am currently doing a product management course next week. Do course like this that. So not really. Again, I have some strong opinions about product management, but product management courses will not add value for a consulting company. That will definitely add value for a product management company, but not for consulting for sure. Because again, these courses like Coursera, edX, whatever platforms are there these days, anyone can pursue these. So you need to have something which takes in some effort, takes in some time. A CFA is an example of that. So the question which was asked. All right. So 20 more seconds if we have any other question, and else we'll start with the finance side of it.